Welcome to Projectlight Cloud Platform. Let me to introduce you today Projectlight's project management and test execution platform. You can use this platform free, and it is similar like a GitHub, where you can collaborate with different users or friends for a single project. And we are not basically making any repository here, but we are making the project management, test management, and test execution using this application. So you can develop the test cases, as well as you can write your project epic and story, and create task and assign the task to your friends or collaborator. If you are a freelancer or a startup, or individual, you can create your project and work with your friends. And so you can use this Project Light platform for free. You can also build your test cases, defects, and execute the test using the Docker container in AWS, using AWS ECS Container Service. Okay, so let me to show you how you are going to use this platform. The first thing that you need to go and register yourself. So you can go to the registration screen, and just so basically it will send a verification code to your email. So make sure that you go and check the code and put the code and validate here before you proceed. Okay. So for example, I had got this code here, and you just check your junk mail in case if you don't receive the email properly, then you can go to the junk email, and then look for the code here as a project verification code. So I can take this one and copy the code and then validate your email. And then after that, you just enter your password. Make sure you follow the instruction. And then you provide your company name or institute or whatever appropriate, and then put the website if you have, and then also give the phone number and the reason, and if you are startup. So then click the register button. So you will see the success message, and it will send you a email to activate your account. So you can go and check your email, and then after that you can click that URL. It will send you a URL here, the account activation. So you can click this one, and then open this and provide copy this code, verification code, and then go and activate it. Okay. So once you are done, then you are able to you can go and log in. Okay. So let me to go the login screen, and now you enter your email. So I already used this email earlier, so I just showing you the account already it is created earlier. Oh, sorry for that. I have I'm going to do something before I come back and log in, because I already used that email, so I just to show you that I am just reusing that email. So that's why I'm not able to log in, because that is already used and the password is different for that. And so I'm just going to do it. Okay. So once you log in, so now you can see the dashboard, right? So there is like three things you can see here. So your project. So my project means basically you are owner of the project. You created the project, and you are inviting your friends to collaborate with you, and you are the project manager or project owner. So that is the my project. Assigned project is that somebody has created the project and they invited you to join into the project. So both way it works. Okay. So when you are going for the assigned project, you have a limited permission for that project because some of the setup you cannot do for that project. You are not the project owner, but when you are creating yourself the project, so you are the owner of the project, so you can do all the setup task. So to see your assigned project, just click the switch button, see the menu has been changed here, and now you can see the task, whatever they assign you. Okay, so you can work on the task. And if you look at here, everything is read only here, so you cannot do anything. Whatever they created for you, you cannot change it, but you can create yourself anything if you want it. Okay, and also you cannot delete the record whichever is not created by you. So only the things that whatever you are creating, you can delete or modify or whatever. Okay, so this is a, like if you are assigned a project or assigned a task. Normally this will be very helpful because if the project owner don't want to give you access for everything, but they want to give you a limited access to something, and you have to work on that particular task or feature, so they can control that using that project. Okay, so they can invite you with a permission, basically role, and based on the role you are going to do whatever is allowed to do. Okay, but in your project you can do everything. So if you are switching to your project, so now see all the menu has been changed and you are having the all the setup task for you. Okay, so you can set up everything for you yourself. So if you look at the setup screen here, there are a couple of instruction is there. So you can follow that instruction to set up your project. So normally what happens that you need to have a Docker file to create your image, which will be using that AWS container registry to create the image, and you can push your image to the AWS ECS registry, and after that you can use that image to create the Docker container and run multiple different test suite using that same image in your test suite. Okay, so so they are basically instruction given, and for that thing you may require some security policy. We already have a link here, so you can go to that. You can click this link and you can go to there and look at the security policy, whatever they needed for you. Okay, so those are the things, important things for setting up your sample project. And we have a sample project here also. You can go take the sample project and you can run this sample project, and then you can copy the sample project and modify according to your need. Basically this is a playwright project and node.js playwright with bdd. So if you need some other kind of project, we can give you sample project for that also. Like you can also build your Java project, but for that you require a Java Docker file. Okay, so you can see here that Docker file we are creating for Node.js, but the similar kind of Docker file you can use create. So one more thing that we are using the XVFB for Docker container to have the UI kind of things. If you want to have run the UI, so you can use these things. Okay. So this is basically the setup how you do. But let me to take you to one more thing here. So if you want to run the Docker container and test suite in the cloud, so first you have to go to the cloud config here and then create a record here, and then you have to bring your AWS key and which region, access key, secret access, all those things. Okay, and subnet, all kind of things you have to bring, and then click the create this record. So once you create the record, nothing you can modify, everything will be invisible for you. Okay. So if you need to change the setup for AWS, then what you need to do, you delete this existing record and create new one. Okay. So this is the only thing you can do. You cannot modify anything in the thing because it is you have access key and secret key. So that's why we don't want to reveal those things. And once we just save it, that's gone. Okay. So now log out. So now I'm going to basically go to the another user where I have a setup for test suite, and I will explain you. And also, I okay, so this is my project. Okay, and what I did here, I first you have to create a product. Okay, and then you can add the project and then also release. So here you add button. You can clone also. You can create another project just cloning like this, and you can modify a little bit something like that. Or you can add a project. Once you have a product, then you can add a project. Click add project, and then fill up the forms. So you can add a release also. You can plan your release and provide all those dates for the release. Okay. So once you have a project, then you can go to the project and then you can create epic and board. So you can create a project board. So add a board to the project. So I created a board and then I created one epic. Okay, so you can go to the board. So how you are going to basically invite somebody to your project to collaborate? Basically, everybody when they are signing up using Projexlight, so they have their own admin. So they are the admin of their account. Okay, so you are also admin of your own account. They are the admin of their own account. So they if they create the project but they assign you, then you may have limited access. That's what I saw you already previously, right? So the same thing here. So first of all, the people who are going to access, suppose I am the owner of the project, I created the project and I created project board, and then after that I can add the people, members who are working in my project, right? So in the member, if you say add member, so there is one of the things you can put the member name and then role, which what is the role of the member, then how much percentage they time they are going to invest for your project, and how many hours. If you are making a cost calculation also, you can put some hourly rate for this person. If it is free, that is okay. And then what kind of resource. But one is the important thing is access. Okay, so that is the thing. If you are giving the admin access, that means that guy can do everything whatever you can do. So that means he can go to your project and modify your project, your epic, everything, right? So you don't want to give the admin access, you just give the developer access or guest access. For the guest access they can do only the testing, but for the developer they can do development and testing both. Okay, so you can give a developer access like that, and then you can. The important thing is that start date, end date. Okay, so this is the time period where the project, this project board is available to that. But basically, this project can be accessible by the member. Okay, so the end date is very important. Suppose somebody cannot see the project, that means the you have to change the end date or start date. Okay, so depending on that period only they can see the project. Otherwise, they cannot go to your task, or they cannot access your project. Okay, so we are controlling using these two dates. And then you can to whom you are assigning, because who is the member. So you can search the member here, member name, right? And then say ASH or something like that, you can get like that. Okay, so basically you can search the member and add this member. So like that I added like three members here. And the start date and end date is very important. Okay, and then your sprint. So you can add your sprint, right? And the task for the sprint, basically when we are creating a task, the task due date, which should be the between the start date and end date of the sprint, only period of time that particular task will be visible to the sprint. For example, say if I go to sprint 2, I have like task 2, task 3, task 4, but task 1 is not visible to me, right? Because that is not within that time period between the start and end date. Okay, so within that time period, the due date is very important. Okay, so the due date should be in between these two dates. Then it is visible in that sprint. So you can basically and then you can assign the task for each of the different user, and then look at their task, right? And then the same thing, if I go to board again, and suppose if I assign the task to individual, I can go to the individual person name, say for this person I have one task. Okay, and task board. So similarly, you can go to the personal level and see how many tasks you have, and then you can take your update for that person. So you need to go anywhere. Just in the board, you can just select the person one by one and then go through their task. And when you are creating a task, create a new task and then assign to somebody with the member. Okay. So then that will be already in that member tab. And in the sprint level, all the tasks you can see all the member. Suppose you create a 10 tasks which is coming in the sprint, so all the 10 tasks you will be see visible within that started end date, which was the due date, right? So based on that you can find the sprint here, right? So that way you can manage your sprint board. Okay. And now I'm going for a testing. So what are the things we need for the testing? So first is that add tag. So that is very important. So what are the different type of testing you are going to do? That is each of type is a tag. Say suppose unit test. Okay. Maybe somebody having a feature level unit test and feature name underscore unit test, or maybe feature one unit test, feature two unit test, right? So you can create multiple tags here. Okay. So normally, if you look at like your CI/CD, so you have like this kind of a stages, right? So one is the unit test, then after then you do smoke, then the sanity, and then maybe regression, then staging, then you go for deployment. So basically, you can in your CI/CD, you can have the process like stages, and each of the stages a different type of test. You can create tags for that each of the stages, right? So the other, so you can create the tag simply by just creating the tag is a tag name, okay? And then once you create the tag, so go to the test cycle. So you create a test cycle, okay? You can use this link, create a test cycle, and then fill up the form here. And so I have a test cycle here. And also remember that you can modify anything, okay? So the pen icon is showing, so you can go anything you can change it, right? So if you need to. So if you don't need to change anything, then that's fine. But you can modify anything. And one more thing is that in the test cycle, when you run, as minimum you should have this is just an object, okay? So any environment parameter, anything you pass, you create a JSON object like this. So it is sample, like we are giving a test env. This is the test env we want to run, right? Like that. So, but minimum test env is the minimum. This is the absolutely needed. So you have to give that test env. Otherwise, you cannot run which environment you want to run, right? And whenever you change the environment, you have to change this here. Okay. Um, uh, so this is the one thing you have to remember. And then you can add run tag. So now that the tag you created earlier, so you can assign this test cycle. What are the different type of testing you can use this test cycle to run? Okay, so with the same test cycle, you can have multiple tag. You can run these the different type of tests using this run button. Okay, so suppose I added multiple tags: regression, smoke, and unit test. So that means I can run unit test and all the unit test suites which are having this same tag name will be run automatically. Okay, so in the test cycle we are controlling the running of how many test suite will be running against that tag. Okay, so that is kind of information here. And suppose if you are a CI/CD pipeline, something like that, and you have to go through the multiple stage. Say first you run the developer runs the unit test, then after then the smoke, and then maybe regression. So you can have the tag, each of the tag, and you can take a JSON basically payload and add to your Jenkins or CI/CD thing to trigger the test from the CI/CD. Okay. If you are using Jenkins or something like that, so there from you can call your API and basically pass that particular. Suppose you want to run fast unit test, so call the API and pass this tag, then it will run the entire test cycle or the unit test. Okay. Then suppose after this stage, you need to run the smoke test. So from the code will move from developer box to say QA, and then you run the smoke test. So then again call the API and pass this particular tag, and so then it will run the smoke test like that. So you can in every stage you have to call the API, and in the API you can pass that which tag you have to run for this test cycle, right? So you can see the API just if you go to here, right? So if you click the run button and go to inspect, you can find the API, what API you are calling here, right? So you can use the same API probably. And if you need any help also, we can help you how to call the API and all those things. Okay, but you can build the CI/CD and you can run all the stage one by one, calling the API using the tag. Okay, and then it will go and run all the unit tests, all the smoke test suite, all the regression test suite. So suppose you have 500 regression test suite, so it will run all 500 and bring back all the result. Okay, So this is a very helpful for your CI/CD. And then you can see the consolidated report here. It is a day-wise report. So the day when it is run, you can go to that particular day and then you can see the report for that day. Okay. um, because I deleted a couple of the report, but if you are seeing here, so many reports are there, right? So all the test suite, everything will be test log and then test suites, everything will be listed in that day. So in that day, how many times? Suppose if you run 100 test suites, all the 100 test suites will be result will be added here. Okay, test result. So you can go each of the individually each of the test suite level if you want to see and then report. You can look at the report also. You can click this one and then S3 bucket will download the report and then you can look at the report. Okay. um, yeah, so you can see the report like that. Okay. um, so this is basically how you can um, uh, uh, create a test cycle and run multiple test suites using the test cycle, and also how you can basically build your CI/CD pipeline and call different stages using the tag. Okay, so that is the thing I explained here. So now how we are going to create the test suite. Before you create the test suite, what you need to do, you have to create a Docker image. So here basically I created a Docker image, right? So if you go to this Docker image, and you can just make a clone. So if you have already existing Docker image, you can clone it and modify something, you create a new one. Okay, but remember that this particular name should not be any space. Okay, and this should be image name and then image tag name, and then this is the AWS ECS repository. So you have to create a ECS repository basically. If you go to the, your ECS container service registry, and there is a repository. Okay, a registry. So there is a repository you have to create, and then you have to provide that name of the repository. See, this test repo is my repository, right? So this is the under this repository I am going to keep all my images, right? So basically, when you create this one, you have to provide that repository name here, and then the image name. And suppose this is a XBF Node.js image, right? So I can use the XBF Node.js image for any test suites which require Node.js and XBF, the front end GUI things, right? So I can use that one. And so this is a Docker file. So basically, I explained you in the previous in the setup here. We have a link how you can get the Docker file here. So you can go to the link and copy the Docker file but if you want to create a demo here. Okay, this is the same Docker file. So you can take this Docker file and then put it into your Docker image creation process. So go to the create image and then paste here. Okay, the Docker image, and then give the name and your repository name, and then just click it. So remember that when you create a new record, only that time we start creating the image. Okay, if you modify that one, and it is not going to create the image. So if the image creation first time fail, for example, say any reason, suppose the Docker image is not created. So once you create the record, right, and click the save button, it will start creating a Docker image. But in case it is failed, so then you have to delete this record, or you clone it and create a new record and then save it again, and then it will use your modified mm, Docker file, and then start creating the image. Okay, and then finally you can verify here whether Docker image is created or not. For example, I want to create a Docker image like that, right? So I can use my existing one and then I just clone it and I rename it maybe Docker image 3 here, and then 3, right, and then maybe 3 here, right? Okay, and this is the thing I change. Okay, one more thing, that you require a sample project. Okay, you can create a sample project, nothing is there fancy, just like create a sample project and provide a git token. Okay, so that git token will be the same token which will be used for your test suite. Okay, for all the whenever you are going to use this image, we will be using your same git token. So remember that the token should have access to all those projects which are going to use this particular image. Okay, so make sure that, because otherwise if you have only access to a particular repository but you don't have access, then don't use that image, because that image does not have that git token. So every image should have their own git token. Okay, but the git token should be a common one, so that all those test suite can be accessed by that git token. Okay, so that is the thing. Then it will be then this image can be used for any test suite. Otherwise, you have a issue, because if the Git token is not there, then you cannot access your project. Okay, and this one, for creating the image, we just create a sample project. But for running that one, actually we will be having, using the actual project suite. Okay. So once you do that, then it will be creating the project. But only how we know that it is success or not, that once it is created successfully, this message will be added here, and you cannot. I think, yeah, okay. It should not be modified here, okay, but it is will modify here. But anyhow, it should be modified. But and also it will give you the URL. So this is the URL cannot be modified. Okay. So oh, it is modifying the URL. Okay. Anyhow, that URL and this two will be populated, okay, automatically. So once it is successfully created here, right? So you can go to your repository and see that whether the image is created or not. Okay. So once it's done, then we are fine. Like that, you can create the image. So once you create the image, now the next step is that creating a test suite. So you can go and create a test suite, just like I created one test suite. So you just use this link, create test suite, okay, and fill up the form here. So remember that this is very important, okay, because the environment is minimum is required. So that's why we popular. You can modify it, your name of the environment, but this parameter is always constant, okay. You should use also, you can access from your Docker as an environment variable, like process.env dot this variable, okay, and then this will give you the environment, okay. So you can fill up everything, right, and the run action by default it will be ready, but when you start manually, then you can select this ready as start and then click the button, okay. So that is the only thing you have to do, and then fill up, and then here actually important thing is this two is pre-populated, and basically, and this is like you're pulling the test suite your results, okay, from your once you run your test suite, then we pull the result to S3 bucket using this script. I think this should have a HTTPS also, okay, not like a github.com. It should be HTTPS colon forward slash github.com, okay. For example, if you see here how I did it here, here see HTTPS, okay. So remember that this one also HTTPS. Maybe we'll fix that issue, but it should be HTTPS, okay. And every URL should be HTTPS, okay. This one. We'll be when we are going to pull that means clone this URL, we are going to pass the Git token from the image you provided earlier to that project Git URL, okay, to get that clone this project, okay. So once you're and one more thing, that you remember that this CPU and memory, this is one of the major issues, because if that is not matching, it will not work for AWS. So you have to use that in the Docker container, how much memory you are going to use and how much CPU. It should be AWS should have that values, okay. Otherwise, if you just put arbitrary something, it will not work. Yeah, AWS have that I think they have a documentation for that, and what are the type of Docker image you can create and how much memory and CPU combination you can provide, okay. So those things you have to basically remember that, and make sure that you follow the AWS guideline for this one. So I am using like 256 and 512 memory, okay. And then you have to add the report path when you create the test suite, right? If you clone it here, so you see, you have to give this relative path. This is a relative path from your root directory of the project, okay. So this is a relative path. Only you give the path here, okay, where the reports will be there for HTML file. And then if you look at our this project, okay, you can source code, you can see also that we are going to create a scenario, and there's the example also how the data will look like for the JSON, okay. So you can look at that one also. And also it will be a failure, whatever the test is failure, it will create a failure dot JSON file, okay. So if you look at our playwright test project here, so if you go to the reports here, right, and then you can see the failure JSON file will look like this, okay. And also the scenario, how many tests passed and failed, all those things, it will create like this, okay. So this is yours, basically at the end of the running the test suite will in the report folder it should create like this one, and also there is a HTML report, and then failure. Any test scenario is failure failed, they will create a JSON object. So these are the very important things to pull back the result. Okay, so that you have to remember. And then once you are done that, and then you are ready to run the test suite, right? So what will do that, you just to run manually the test suite, you can go and here click on this one, and then select the start here, and then click the start button. Okay, so then it will start the manually the test suite. Okay, see the page is refreshed automatically, so it is started the manual test suite. Now how you can see that whether it is running or not? So you can go to your CloudWatch, and then if you go to the log group, so this is the basically prod container one actually, because I have given the name of this container is a prod container one. So using that name, it is creating this log here. Okay, so once it start running this thing, it will be generating the log here. Okay, we'll come back after some time here and show you other things. So this is like a individual test suite, right? So once you start, and you can also use this run button for smoke test or regression test, because see, one more thing is that remember, as I mentioned earlier, in the test cycle, you are using the run tag, right? You added multiple different tag. Now, whichever the test suite also have a suite tag. So that's the value between run tag and suite tag should match. They are exactly the same. Okay, so if you add the go to the add tag, it is whatever the tag you earlier added, everything in the list. So you have to select from the list, right? And then it is read only. You can modify. You cannot modify anything here, right? So automatically it will add those same tag here. So you have like tags. So for this particular test suite, I have two different type of tag, regression, and so whenever I will select the regression test, I will run this test suite, and whenever I will select the smoke, I will run this test suite, because maybe you have 500 test suite, but out of that only 10 test suite will be useful for smoke testing. So those 10 will be having this tag also, but the other 490 only for regression. So then they have only the regression, right? Or staging also, then you can add the staging also tag. So depending on your what the test suite purpose, that means this particular test suite means this project, right? So whatever the URL you are giving in this URL, basically whether that particular project can be useful for a smoke or regression or staging or unit or anything. So depending on that type of that means usefulness of that particular test suite, you can add multiple different tags here. Okay, and then when you run the test cycle, suppose if you are running a smoke, and then we look for all the test suite which has a smoke tag, and then only that test suite will be run. But the test suite is does not have a smoke tag, it will not be run when you run the test cycle as a smoke, right? So if you go to the test cycle here, suppose if I select the smoke, right? So it will run the only the test cycle test suite which have a smoke uh, tag. Okay, depending on that, we determine which test suite to run when, right? So once you run the test suite, and then what will happen, you'll get all the log file here. Okay, it will give you all the like a test log, script log, everything, all the logs will be given. So if you click this URL, basically you can download, see the downloading that log file, and then you can look at the log file. Okay, so like that, you can also look at the script log, and also you will get the result. So if you select, so you remember that now this test suite is running, right? So that's why it is empty right now. So once it is populated, it is done, then it will populate automatically the value here. And so seeing the empty portion, you know that still it is running. So this test suite is not done yet, right? So like that. And then once it's done, you can click this result in URL, and then you can look at the result here. Right? And then one more thing is that if there is a failure is there, we automatically populate this test failure here, okay, like that. You will be getting the records like that, okay, and also the report and all those things. So as I showed you that earlier, the JSON file, we create the failures.json. So we take that input and create the failures list like that. Okay. So you can now go to the failure. So you'll be getting, suppose if, suppose you run a test suite, there is like 5 failures. All the failure will be here, and then you can go each individual failure, and then you can determine whether it is a defect or not. So basically, the checkbox. If you select the checkbox, then it will create a defect, right? And see, the defect is created, and then now you can go to the defect and you can assign somebody the defect to fix the defect, right? So this is the way you can basically manually run each individual test suite, as well as you can run the test cycle using the tag. And this is the way you can also build your CI/CD pipeline using this JSON, that means API, using the API, and call the API in your pipeline using the tags. Okay, so that is the way you can manage your CI/CD, as well as your manual testing, basically your automation testing. And then finally, you can see all the defects here, and you can go to the graph and see all those things. Basically, the graph will be coming, and you can select the environment here, and depending on the environment, and also you can see the date, which date, how many times it ran, total, all those results, everything it is counted here. So you can see everything from the data. Okay. Okay. So if you need any other further help, let me know. And this is like a very much small demo for you guys, and let me know your comments. And if you need any help, please contact me. And you can connect through the LinkedIn, or watch the video and then sign up. And also we have a support. Basically, you can create a ticket for the support. Okay, thanks. Bye.